Yeah, bro.
Okay.
Well, I guess we've already started pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. What would you like me to call you?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that. Maybe we'll just run HB and do if you need to
HB?
address me by name. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
easy. HB's good.
That's easy.
Yeah. So, we had a little discussion before we sat down.
Yes.
But for the audience, how did Hidden Blessings start and what is the objective of it?
Yeah, so the objective of Hidden Blessings is to facilitate the act of giving back, paying it forward.
Yeah.
Try to inspire others as being part of the process and build, I guess, a platform, like I say, to facilitate that hopefully through more eyes on it is going to encourage not only others, and when I talk inspiration, to go and try and do similar things, but other people who want to support our kaupapa or my kaupapa around paying it forward. So I've had brands reach out and I've had other content creators reach out, which was, to answer your question, part of the aim was to build it to a point that, yes, I paid forward a lot personally at the start, but to get to a point that we can, not so much about neutralising the cost, but so it's not constantly costing me a fortune every week to go to the ATM and draw out money and go and start splashing it out, because like everyone, I've got my own bills and stuff.
Yeah, and you have your own life behind,
that's right. But I am lucky enough to have worked my way into a position in my career that I've got a bit of flexibility.
Yep.
I've got the ability to travel a lot more than some people do through work, so that's given me the ability to get these blessings into more places and all that stuff. So yeah, that's how it sort of started. Yeah, I guess the intention is clear. Where we actually started was around what we discussed before, so a little bit of an inspirational moment around giving a homeless guy who was reaching out some food, which made me feel quite good, as it does. I was taken back by the fact he didn't ask me for money, he asked for food. So that was quite clear that he wasn't just trying to take the money and go to the pub or to pokies or whatnot.
Buy another bag.
Both of which was next door to where we were, so obviously that's always going on. So that took me back, and then just happened to be walking back to my office in the CBD and scrolling through IG and see this guy Cash Catch in Amsterdam hiding cash. So I linked the two together, the good feeling, what I'd seen, inspired. Why don't I go to South Auckland, somewhere that might need it, do something similar like a treasure hunt for cash. So Hidden Blessings was born, I guess, at that point, with me being, without giving away too much, in my 30s, not as social media savvy as some of our younger generation. So a call to the younger sister and what do you think about this? And then, of course, the actual editing style and the brand logo and those sort of things were born from that point. So, yeah, that's how it all started, man.
I love it. So how long have you been doing it now?
About 14 or 15 months, I think. Started at the start of last year. I think it would be there.
Sure, yeah. And so how often are you going and putting Hidden Blessings in places?
It sort of peaks and troughs, man. Like I've had moments, especially at the start, where I was doing it every day. That was getting quite expensive and quite time consuming, so I scaled that back. I would like to say I consistently do it at least once a week.
Yeah.
But there has been some times over the last few months where that hasn't been the case, just with some personal work stuff taking precedence. So, my aim is to try and do at least once a week. Of late, I've done quite a few more. So last week I was with Aaron Tozamatto, who's an MMA fighter, very close to obtaining a UFC contract.
Yeah, nice.
So I was at City Kickboxing with Aaron, and we went through some areas in Auckland around that Mount Roskill, Mount Albert area and hit 3. So we did $150 cash. I typically always do $50.
Yeah.
I figure it's a nice amount. For people who genuinely need money, that's a bit of a game changer. Like, that can get them the food or the gas or the whatever they need. If it were 100, it might be a bit excessive, but it's also 2 people blessed with $50 is better than one person with 100 that they might not need all of. So that's where that was born. And yeah, I guess it's just a matter of not getting too excessive with the amount of time or money that I'm putting into Hidden Blessings with having a young family and a busy career. So
Yeah. For
yeah,
sure.
but of late a few more than usual, and I'd like to think that one a week moving forward.
Yep. Nice. And so you tend to focus on the Auckland region?
Oh, not particularly. So we've done all. So I should be clear. Like I started things with my sister. She was helping me a lot with the editing at the start. She got really busy with her own career, so I've taken that on myself. In doing that, I did bottleneck a little bit with my ability to do too much. So I enlisted the help of some close friends and family. So I've had reach from, I've done one myself right in the far north in Kaitaia. I've had somebody do one for me in Bluff, and I dread to think how many towns in between, but quite a lot, 150 odd, minimum $50 value blessings across New Zealand. Haven't done every one of those myself, so there has been an element of family in Hawke's Bay have done quite a few for me. I might have friends that are going travelling somewhere and know about what I'm doing and say, can I do one? I've had people do one, and I've had another content creator / small business do one in Rarotonga for me. And so it's just been kind of going with the flow. And wherever we end up, we end up. Auckland does get a few more blessings than a lot of other towns because of the fact I live here, but also because of the fact there's so many more people here, and as a sign of the times, a lot more people who could do with that help. So that's sort of why I think Auckland gets a lot more in terms of volume of hidden blessings than others.
Yeah. And I got to say, personally, I really like the fact that it's anonymous.
Yes. Yeah,
like,
I appreciate that.
You know, following the latest sort of social media trends of people wanting to do shit so they can have content and get likes and everything like this. There's a lot of people that it's all about them when they go and give shit to homeless people.
100%.
Every time they, you know, there's a dude that pays for people's groceries at the supermarket, but it's not about the people that he's paying it for. It's about him.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's where I've come to that conclusion myself. So protect my own personal privacy around. There's a lot of eyes. There's been a lot of views. It's been across multiple platforms. I don't want to get personally. I don't want the assumption made that I'm out hiding money when I'm at the park with my kids trying to live my normal personal life. So that's an issue. The other thing is it's never been about me. It's never been about. The only reason the mask came about is because initially it was just my hand going into a bush and I could stay anonymous. Hidden blessings. I want everybody to know about it.
Yeah.
Don't want it to know that about me personally.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, when I'm getting invited to go into 7 Sharp and get interviewed with Jeremy, and then I had to come up with an idea, as we discussed. It was a last minute thought to stop at Look Sharp and find a mask that wasn't scary looking. So that's where the mask came from. But it's given me that ability to remain anonymous and to continue to raise awareness of hidden blessings as a platform and therefore like a movement of kindness. Yeah. But nothing to do with me. It's not like, look at me, because I really don't care for that. Yeah. It's not the type of smoke that I want. Yeah. So, fair enough. Yeah. Some people are into that. It's not my thing. Yeah.
Nah, love it, bro. And like you say, it keeps your own personal life private, so there's people not queuing up out front of your house
100%.
being like, oh, that dude's gonna chuck us a 50, sweet ass.
Yeah.
You really don't want that. You want to keep your family safe and everything like that.
Yeah, especially with the young kids. And I get a bit of it anyway through the platforms. So I, with all due respect to anyone of my following that might watch this once we've done a thing, I do get personal outreach of help, also like people asking me to help them, and it's I guess it's hard for me. It's bittersweet because I'd love to be able to help everybody, but I've still got my own goals and my own priorities. How do I prioritize one story versus another when I don't know the true context around, anybody can put their hand out, but I guess for me it's help. I'll always be prepared to help within whatever capacity I can spare people who want to help themselves, but some of the messages I receive, are, I guess for me it's pretty hard to want to cough up something out of my own personal income to somebody just because they're having a bad time and they can't scrape through something,
we all have bad times.
Exactly, man. Like I come from not much myself in that regard, and I've earned everything that I've got, and I like to pay it forward, but that doesn't mean that I'm a bank. So in that regard, yeah, it is tough because some of the things that you do receive are they pull on the heartstrings a bit, but I have to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah.
Emotionally, financially, with my time, there's a lot of elements to what I do. So.
Yeah. And so what's the following at now, roughly?
So sitting on Facebook at just over 41,000, I think, like 41.7. Instagram's just over 25,000, I think. And TikTok's sitting somewhere around high 13,000. So yeah, not something I've really focused a great deal on around like advertising or doing any of that. I am feeling a little bit through engagement insights that maybe the fact I'm putting music over my reels and stuff to try and just keep them somewhat entertaining. Everyone's looking for the $50, but at least we've got a nice uplifting backing track.
Yeah.
I feel like that might have put me in some sort of like shadow ban or something because like engagement seems to have really dropped off compared to what it was.
Yeah,
I do need to like probably talk to someone who understands the social media like algorithm sort of stuff more than I do.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not so worried about it. It's more just a clear difference.
Yeah.
12 months ago, hundreds of thousands of views on a reel down to now they might hit 10.
Yeah.
Don't care as long as somebody's found it and feel great about it. So,
yeah. And people are still finding it.
Yeah, that's right. And typically, man, like I've had the fastest one go within 5 minutes, which was Kaitaia. I think that was about 4 minutes from posting.
Wow.
And I've refined the editing process through CapCut on my phone for the easy blessings where I'm not doing any form of collaboration or skit or any overlays with other people's logos.
Yeah.
I can do that in 5 minutes with a couple of clips in CapCut.
Yeah.
Often I will do that in the car before I leave. In this case, I probably struggled to get out of town before these people had found it. Not only did someone find it in 4 minutes, there were like 10 people there within a couple of minutes behind them.
Yeah.
I've had instances of 50 plus cars being in the car park in Rotorua, for instance, and I've had blessings where people come in hot on the wrong side of the road and park and leave their car running. So I've had to sharpen up a little bit around like
you don't want to cause hazards in the same time.
I like always put a post up, like I've got a pinned post which is basically a set of rules of engagement. By undertaking this search for a hidden blessing, you're committing to following the road rules, to being kind to each other. Don't fight over it. There's no need to run,
the blessing doesn't want to turn into a curse.
No, and I've got to be real careful with public liability and taking responsibility for the fact that I'm putting these people into the situation to look for something that I have placed there. So I get a lot of, feedback from people saying, make it harder, make it this, make it that. Cool, until I have 20 people on location looking for one thing and 19 of them will leave empty-handed.
Yeah.
It's not really what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to clip the video in a manner that if you're not from the area, you won't really know where it is.
Yeah.
After that, it's first in, best dressed, because I want you to find it, be stoked, send me a photo. If you don't need it, I leave a little note, which I brought one with me for context. But basically, this sort of suggests what we do, and if you don't need it, to put it back or to pay it forward. The concept of that, of course, as well, is if somebody were to randomly stumble across the package, they're not going to think it's just $50 blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
They're going to understand that I've actually found something, I should read this, jump on the page, and of course at that point they've just been extremely lucky, because out of the 150 odd that I have dropped, not one of them has been found before we posted.
Nice. Do you mind if I read this out?
Yeah, 100%.
Hidden blessings. This hidden treasure is our gift to you. If this find brightens your day, enjoy it. If you're not in need, we ask you to pay it forward to someone who is, or please put it back and together let's help someone else. Follow us on social media for more surprises and clues. And please let us know if you find this blessing by sending us a photo. This is so that we can save others from spending time searching. We're happy to keep our details private, of course. Keep your details private, of course, and connect with us and be a part of the giving journey. Join the movement and spread the kindness. Nice.
Yeah.
It's super clear, easy to understand.
I try to make it that way because of all of these little nuances that I've experienced in doing this, and I don't want to put anybody in danger, and I don't, like you said, I don't want the blessing to become a curse. That's a really good one-liner. I like that.
You're more than welcome to use it.
Yeah. So, and it is that, like, it's developed into something that, like, I did these because there was a bit of request from people who wanted to find a way to support what I was doing, but don't necessarily have the money to make a donation. I've had to be very clear and careful that I'm not interpreted as a charity. So everything that I've done thus far has been either with my own money, with like close friends or family, or other content creators who wanted to pay it forward with their own money by us linking up, and they might put forward the $50, I might put it forward, they might put in some merch. It's just been a very small scale, but I won't accept donations from corporations because of the tax implications of me not being a charity. I'd have to work out how that would taxed as an income and all that sort of
so it's none of it's set up as a business. It is just a personal sort of expression of help.
Well, one thing I had to do was more around setting up the monetization side of the social media, which, in all fairness, the whole time I've been doing Hidden Blessings, I think I still haven't hit the $100 payout from Facebook. So I've got about $80 in there. So the thing with that is it's not so much a money maker, but was more like, well, I have money from ads going over my videos going to nowhere. Let's monetize that. So in doing that, had to set up a business, a limited liability company, which sits in the background for two reasons. One, to set up the bank account to link to monetization. The second is around the ability to invoice business collaboration as a brand partnership in terms of marketing as opposed to a donation. So that's only happened on a couple of occasions, but at a very small scale. But of course, as a result of that, there's all the GST and all the stuff that I manage in the background. It's not a big deal, but it's more just making sure everything's above board. Don't want anybody knocking on the door going, "Where's that money gone?"
The IRD starts calling you up. Come and bless us, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like someone gets audited and they've given me a donation, and it's like, "Hey man, where's that donation gone? You're not a charity. You pay tax." And I'm like, "No, I just went and gave it all away." So don't want that. So that's where I've had to be careful, just to keep it small scale and keep it self-funded, and within a very close circle of people who understand that that's where we hit our ceiling. So that's been really important to manage, because I don't want to put myself or anybody else with the good intentions in jeopardy. So
Here we go again. It's ad time. But don't hit that skip button just yet. Today's sponsor is First Class Cocktails, another company that I own and operate. So technically it's less of an ad and more of me shamelessly promoting myself. You know what's better than a great cocktail? A great cocktail with no effort. Meet First Class Cocktails, New Zealand's premier provider of premium bottled, ready-to-drink cocktails. We're talking about perfectly balanced flavours, made with the finest ingredients, and all you have to do is pour, sip, and enjoy. From timeless classics like the martini and the old-fashioned, to bold new creations like our pineapple and chili margarita, First Class Cocktails ensures every drink feels like a first-class experience. Whether it's a night in or a party out with friends, we've got your cocktail game covered. Order now at firstclasscocktails.com and raise your glass to effortless luxury. First Class Cocktails, because every moment deserves to feel first class. Reality of the world. There is always going to be the high end, the middle, and the low end. And you get what you pay for, You come to a venue like this, Panacea, you're going to get the chance to drink some, 40, 50-year-old whiskies that perhaps no one in the country's ever drunk before. But it's going to cost you $1,000 for 30 mils or $600 for 30 mils, or depending on whatever you're drinking. But then you can also go to BK and get free refills of your soft drink. It's different markets, different people. And I think on a consumer side, you have to have confidence in the business that you're working with, and it's the customer service, I think, portrays quality, and the character of the people that you're working with.
Absolutely.
If you're working with a company and you gut feeling, it's like they seem like they're a man of their word type thing.
Yeah.
They're always going to deliver quality. They're going to straight shoot me.
Yeah.
If I want to change the architraves in this whole building,
Yeah.
they're going to tell me, look, bro, like we can do that, but it's going to cost this and
100%.
this man hours, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, rather than just say, yeah, we'll do it and then surprise you with a bill at the end
right.
and things like this, because you feel cheated other than that.
And that's where our world's gone, is around like, no set of drawings, architectural drawings are, if there are any architects listening, please, with all due respect, they're not normally perfect. And then that opens the door for two things to happen. We can either interpret that with our knowledge, practical knowledge, to fill that hole, therefore capture that extra cost.
Yeah.
Or we could not do that, and then once we won the contract, we could bring that to the attention of the client. But in the interim, we've created a situation where we haven't allowed for it, and it's going to come as what we call a variation, which you'll be familiar with. In that case, you've created a false economy. But unfortunately, where we pride ourselves, that benchmark of quality relationships, don't like nasty surprises, we'll plug those holes. And that we found that in a market as it turned was actually detrimental to our ability to secure work.
Yeah.
Because people were managing to get away with that variation day one.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they were more than what we would have been, and we approached it the honest way.
Yeah.
So that's been a real problem. But I think, to your point, like doing what you say you're going to do, that whole trust around the gut feel stuff. Like I watched a really interesting TED talk about that from Simon. I forget what his surname is.
Simon Sinek?
Yeah. And around
Leaders
how the
Eat
brain
Last.
works and stuff. And how Apple have kind of flipped their marketing around, rather than the what, the how, and the why. You kind of change the narrative around that, and it's building that sort of more trustworthy base to your relationship and your decision making, and understanding which parts of your brains interpret verbal language and written language, and which operate off emotions, and how that gut feel thing actually makes a lot of sense when you strip that back that way. So there's only one way to build trust, bro, and that's through
being trustworthy.
Being trustworthy and earning it. You can't put that on a spreadsheet, and you can't put value on that. So you need to show your clients that, which I respect. In the same manner that you jump in the truck to go and do it, and your clients know that of you, they'll also grow with you. So when you're at a point that they know that that's detrimental to you, but you're still doing it, they're going to go, can't you get someone else to do this, mate, like you? We know we can ring you and you're going to do it, and it flips. And they try and almost like take that on themselves because they care about you.
For sure.
And it's really special, I think, a part of, because the other part of that coin is you don't know who these people will end up being. So they could be your biggest client. They could go on to, probably unlikely, but win lotto and buy 100 restaurants and have that organic relationship with you that you just ride the wave. And you don't know if the guy that's receiving your delivery is going to end up buying that business. You just have to treat everyone the same way.
100%. That is totally true. Like, it's funny, Danny and I, who owns Panacea, were talking about it just before. There's a guy in the coffee shop, room is down below, Isaac, and he's always been super friendly. Like, chat to him every time I'm up here, go in, get a coffee, been a regular. He's always helped me out. We sort them out with ice for their iced coffees and things like this. I only just learnt today he's now brought the business.
Right, well, there you go.
And exactly what you're saying is exactly what happens. And I felt potentially a little bit of a fish out of water at the start, because I had always been in the hospitality world, but I'd never been a business owner. When I was costing drinks out and doing ordering, I never cared about the bank account, because I was like, the money's there. Every time I order shit, it turns up. Whereas now the shoes are on the other foot, and I have to think about structuring everything. All right, maybe I can't order 6 cases of this, I've got to order 1, and I'm just ordering every week type thing, instead of like, let's get a bulk load like I used to do when I was working in big restaurant companies.
I understand. And
so you have a different understanding, but then because I'm speaking bartender language, because that's my background, I would say more of the people that I've known and met through the industry now, and the people that I work with the most, are more grassroots. I'm dealing with bartenders that are in the weeds that speak the same language.
Yeah.
There's not a lot more now, but especially at the start. I wasn't really speaking with bar owners.
Yeah. Okay.
I wasn't speaking with group owners.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking to the general manager of the hotel. I was talking to the bar manager of the hotel.
Okay.
And as I've stayed consistent in looking after those bartenders, they have launched their careers and they've become the bar manager and they've opened different companies and things like this. And exactly what you're saying is pretty much the reality of what has happened with us and kept it moving forward. And I like to think like I was a bartender who tried to be a business person as opposed to a business person trying to come in and pretend to be a bartender type thing, which is common language.
Well, it's a really fickle industry, like I would imagine, obviously, outside of massive outliers like COVID and things like that. Hard to make consistent income without a lot of hard work, like big shifts, all that stuff. And I've got a lot of respect. I mean, I've come growing up with a father who's been very tied into that sort of world and seen the hours and the stress that put onto him. And, you know, like he was the first, always not home till 4 or 5 in the morning in that nightclub space because he'd stay back and have drinks and wrap everything up, and then he'd be back in there at 11 starting to clean or, you know, like things like that. Like not sleeping like the amount of hours that a decent functioning human being probably needs.
For sure.
Respect to you for like not only coming through and succeeding in your trade and then having a crack, but still being here, and it takes a lot of hard work. And like now starting to reap the rewards, I would imagine, but still a lot to come. And the thing with you is you're still so young, man. Like it's, I think for me, I've noticed a lot since coming back from Australia about 9 years ago. Even the network of people and relationships that I've built since being home, I have come to massive value later. And guys I met 10 years ago, like 9 years ago, same thing. They've now gone on to do all these special things.
Yeah.
And I was in a sales position at one point, and the clientele in construction that I was chasing have now finished their time, gone outside their own businesses, and there's a ground roots level of trust that was helping me later on in that part of my career. A little bit different now. I've changed out of that sales capacity, but you know, it's really it's the same sort of concept, I guess, all around for that, right? I
believe every business, as much as they're different and unique, hospitality, construction, accounting and bookkeeping, anything like that, it's all solely built around trust and relationships and delivering on what you say and staying consistent. And it's one of those things that you fail when you get off the horse. As long as you can we all go through shit times. 100%. COVID is a perfect example of that. Like that shut down the whole country for 6 months and Auckland for 12. And so you think, you feel sorry for the people that were just in Auckland.
Absolutely, man.
They got locked down. Joel, who we were talking to on the last episode, his partner and his sister opened a venue in Ponsonby. And it had the doors open for 4 months. And then COVID happened and shut them down for 6 months. And they, clawed and scratched their way through it. And the venue's still open now and extremely successful and everything like that. But just the fact that they kept going with it paid off. And you take the punches. And as long as you can keep getting up and moving forward, you'll succeed.
And you've gone through that with a group of people, like those relationships that you've maintained through that time. You've all come out the other side together. It's been extremely character building for everybody. You're far more resilient than you were. You're going to be somewhat more risk adverse, I would imagine, in a lot of elements. So you're going to be a better business person for it. And it's that same mentality around everything we do. Like I'm always aware that I want to upskill year to year. I want to, like at the moment, I'm trying to reconnect and bridge a gap generationally that I have between culturally my Māori side of Dad's family. So doing night courses at Kurapo for learning Te Reo Māori at the moment. And that's more just a challenge I set to myself because I want to constantly be better. And I think things like that, they make you a better business person, going to the gym, working out, and it hurts for a day after, but it makes you stronger. You know, it's the same concept really throughout. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Sounds terribly cliche, but it's very true.
100%, and at worst, it teaches you discipline.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you keep going back
100%.
that's the discipline. Like, you know, the going to the gym, the going to classes, taking time that, you know, it's real easy for someone to go home and want to sit on the couch and watch maths or something, you know. But
we can all make choices at any given moment, right? And that's why I like to think that I'm quite driven, and if I decide I want something, I go for it. And I struggle with people who have the ability to make change but don't. That's something that it kind of does grind my gears a little bit. And I would coach people into that within a certain realm. But if they are not seeming to want to make the change and just want to keep complaining about it, I'm probably going to dial out at that point. I think you have to want to make change.
For sure, you can't help people that can't help themselves.
No, man, no. So that's been really quite cool to learn. And then the whole like network is your net worth kind of thing as well, and that will reap rewards. Like I said, with you being young, a lot of the guys that I grew up with are now successful in their own right, doing their own things with business and things like that. Now in their 40s or early 40s. So by the time we're in our 50s, everybody's going to be at another tier again. And it's just, you don't know where anybody's going to end up.
Nah.
That's what I've found. I like to think some people think that about me, you know, and they cross my path now because 9 or 10 years ago, I was coming off the back of pretty much spending everything that I owned in South America, just being a rat bag, and I came back with not a cent to my name and moved back to the folks and had to rebuild at 29 years old to try and become an adult at that point, and wouldn't change it for the world. I experienced some epic things travelling, but it was quite humbling, I guess, and eye-opening to come back, and I always knew I wanted to be home, but to come back and start again. But once again, character building, and I look back at that and I think I wouldn't have done the things I've since done in my career and had the confidence to go forth. I completely changed career about 4 years ago, and like massive fork in the road, and just backed myself because of the confidence I've built in backing myself for the last however many years. I moved to Australia effectively on my own, and like you said, it didn't work. Misses I fell apart within a month, and had some friends come over and stay, and then it didn't really work. They went back to New Zealand, and then I was kind of like just there on my own, and then another friend who you know quite well came over and was staying with me in Melbourne for a while as well, and then from there it just kind of like, I'm sticking this out. I'm not going home. I'm here by myself, but I'm not going home. I don't want to be back there. I got away from some riffraff at home, and that was the whole intention of leaving. I just wanted to sort my life out. So that opened the door to meeting my best mate, travelling the world and bringing me home, quite comfortable with being, I shouldn't say whipped, that's quite a derogatory term, but quite comfortable with being a family man. Because I don't have those itches I feel like I need to scratch. So.
Brace yourselves. It's sponsorship time. I know ads can feel like the Broccoli podcast, but today we're talking about the Bar Society, a company I own and operate. So think of it as supporting my broccoli farm. This goes out to all cocktail lovers and hospitality pros. Are you ready to elevate your drinking experience? Introducing the Bar Society, New Zealand's leading clear ice supplier. Whether you're stirring down a classic old-fashioned or crafting the perfect gin and tonic, there's no substitute for crystal clear ice. Not only does our ice look stunning, but it also melts slower, keeping your drinks colder and your flavors perfectly balanced. From home bartenders to high-end establishments, the Bar Society's here to bring your beverages to the next level. Order today and see why we're trusted by the best bars and restaurants in New Zealand. Visit thebarsociety.co.nz and let us transform your drinks. The Bar Society. Elevate your drinking experience.
So, having kids, that was sort of a transformative moment.
Massive, man. Yeah, game changer. So, always knew I wanted a family. Living in Australia, had a couple of relationships that, one with a European girl that I couldn't see the future in because I couldn't see myself living. And I did try. Ended up in Scandinavia with her for a bit. And I couldn't see myself living over there with children in Sweden and doing all of that stuff. So I came home with the intention to find a nice Kiwi girl. For me, the journey into being a parent was quite fast-tracked because of me being 30 odd and going, I need to sort my shit out. So still had Tinder Plus, and I was lining up. This sounds real bad, but I'm just going to be candid with you. I was lining up connections with people in cities that I planned to travel with through paying this extra subscription. So while travelling through South America, I'd be talking to a friend in the next city. By the time I got there, it was quite developed in terms of conversation, and therefore a date and whatever else. And I came home and still had that, and I was living in a small town in the North Island, and where home was, and ran out of swipes because I was kind of like, there's a few girls like, well, I know you, or I'm going through, and then I was like, well, where could there be like a nice girl who might be able to convince me to settle down and actually stop being like, I was borderline having commitment issues because I just become accustomed to single, and I'd look for things that girls would do that would piss me off enough to be like, cut. Yeah. Just a dick, like absolute dick, not something I'm proud of. I met this missus and she called my bluff. I was like, Auckland, cool, met her, school teacher, blah, blah, blah. I was like, she sounds nice. And I was like, you want to come down and see me? And she's like, I don't even know you. And I was like, because I just become accustomed to this like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am type setup, and which is horrendous to think of in hindsight.
But that's sort of what the modern dating world has become, hasn't it?
Loose, and I don't miss it. Like when I think back in hindsight, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that stuff now. Like I'm so glad I get to go home to a nice partner and a beautiful family, and not have to worry about ironing all those creases out. We're not perfect, but we've been through a lot together. So it's back to your initial question. Like met her, knew she was like a good option. Just backed myself and moved up here within like 6 months of knowing her. I was like, did a bit of back and forth, weekend apart, and then I was like, I'm just moving up. Just quit my job and moved up here and kind of winged it. And then I think about 8 months later, we were pregnant with our first, and it just kind of snowballed from there. Two now, and beautiful young family. And I mean, what about you, bro? Talk me through, because
I mean, it's funny listening to your story. There's a lot of similarities that I draw. Like, my world have been hospo, bartending, late night, a lot of drinking, drugs, everything. Like, I was probably looser than I'd like to admit sometimes, and
I have heard some stories, man.
Well, I'm sure you have, because the listeners won't know, but we know each other on a real level,
which kind of didn't know.
Today. Exactly. I got a very big surprise that I actually knew who you were. When you reached out, it was just through hidden blessings. You would have already heard some stories from the people that we have mutual, and I like to party and have some fun, and I just COVID, restaurants shut down, and I sort of was, I don't know, I guess myself having trouble coming to terms with what my relationship was about with the girl I was with at the time, and where our lives were going, and was I happy? And I think, in my own way, probably dealing with, I don't know, but insecurity and uncertainty in my own life, not really being happy with it. And so I made the decision at 29 to move back home, move in with mum and dad.
Same thing.
Exactly. And I was just chatting to a friend who owned a restaurant at home, and they asked me about ice, because I was looking for a restaurant job.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to go in, be a bar manager, restaurant manager somewhere, like just, this is what I know. It's an easy world for me. Where I was, it's not like anything was going to be more stressful than what I'd put up with living in Melbourne and things like this. And so I was just kind of looking to cruise and sort of discover myself and find out what happened. And I think I was also in denial about a lot of things that have happened in my life and what my role in that was. So I took a bit of time to just kind of think about everything in my life that had went wrong and everything that I'd blamed someone else for, and thought about it hard enough until I came to what my fucking role in it was. And a lot of the time it was like, you're a douchebag.
Yeah, nice.
And I just recognized, I guess, what I would call now problems or issues with my own personality and the way I viewed and acted within the world. And kind of, for lack of a better term, grew up. And just started thinking more about my actions, what I said. Someone talked to me about ice and asked me if I knew how to make it, because they had seen it over in Australia and I used to use it in a bar there and everything like this. And I just kind of jumped into it, sat at my parents' place, brought 2 shipping containers and a couple of machines and a freezer, and just put them together. And started running it. And I used to drive my little Mitsubishi Lancer, and I'd load it up with polystyrene boxes, and I'd drive 6 hours both ways to deliver product to people in Auckland. And it was then COVID doubled down to New Zealand, and Auckland shut down, and out of my 5 customers, 4 of them were in Auckland, and I struggled, and I thought, maybe, is this another fucking thing that I've done in my life that I've fucked up and made a mistake? But, as we were talking before, stay on the horse. And so I just stayed on the horse. The people around me kind of encouraged me to keep doing what I was doing. And I had other ideas like, oh, well, I'll stop doing that and I'll do this. And I'll stop doing that and I'll do this. But I kind of realized that is just what I've done all my life. Whether it was a girl or a job or whatever, I was just like, oh, yeah, I'm finished with this now. I'll jump on to the next one because I've already got one waiting in the wings type thing. And, I just grew up. It started the Bar Society, and then perhaps maybe like 9 to 12 months into that, doing an event for a friend, and I met my lovely partner, Amanda. She was helping me on the bar. And we just kind of hit it off, and spent a bit of time together. And 3-4 months later, we ended up renting out her house, and she came and lived with me at my mum and dad's, and jumped into the business with me, and started helping grow that. She came from a marketing background. She had studied business and accounting. She had worked in businesses that were bigger or in a different realm, sort of different industry than what I'd worked in. So it was good to have a little bit of perspective, someone seeing things from a different angle. We just started trugging on with the Bar Society, and then there came an opportunity for us to buy another business and turn that into First Class Cocktails. That was a project that we were just both in together. And we've just tackled on doing that. And it actually turns out that the same week that we opened First Class was the same week that I was moving the Bar Society from my parents' place to our new big factory in Hamilton. And the same week we found out that we were pregnant with our first child.
When it rains, it pours.
Oh, bro, tell me about it. It all happens in threes, eh?
100%.
And on the 1st of July, we welcomed our son, little Xander, into the world. And I look back at my life now, and last night I got home, and he's crawling around on the ground, getting to that stage, and Amanda goes and grabs us a drink, and the 3 of us just sort of chill in the living room, and we throw the ball for the dog, and it's just I'm liking having a little family life, and it makes me feel like not that I wasted anything, because I feel I learnt a lot through going through all those experiences and then changing myself. But I really appreciate where we are now, even the immature arguments that you have in a relationship, we've now worked out ways to work through those. You get better at, I don't know, acknowledging your own fucking weird, nuanced ways you view the world and want to understand their ways that they view the world, and through discussion you sort it out. And we've managed to do the same thing through business. You know, I'm a little bit more welcoming of risk and ready to go out on a limb, where she's more hold the fuck up.
And you kind of need a bit of both, right?
100%. You need good and bad. You need competition. Like, you know, Samsung and Apple, they battle each other out.
100%.
You know, every company and every partnership, you have two sides. And there's a financial dude that I listen to out of Texas, Dave Ramsey.
Okay.
And he's got a line that if two people in the relationship are the same, one of you is not needed.
Okay. Yeah, fair
and
enough.
you need to have that battle, that opposite perspective.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what we do really, really well.
Which
and
is special, man. Like, especially to have it at home and then in business as well. Because they're two different things that require the same balance, but often the common denominator being the person might be great at home, might not be that good to work with. So, like, that's cool that you guys have managed to maintain that. Personally, I'm not sure. I wouldn't never write it off, and we're going into a point in my career that, how do I put this without giving away too much around what's going on? But looking at going into a new chapter with establishing a new region of business and things like that. So probably a big move on the cards towards the end of the year, and that's taken a lot of like getting the other half on board around the difference in levels of support network and all of that sort of stuff. But that there is going to create a whole other set of problems around. We've only got each other now because we're in a region where we don't have all that family support. So we will have to rely on balancing out with each other, and maybe that will generate opportunity for a career change there, and maybe in that growth of that new thing that we're doing, there might be room to jump on board with me in terms of work with me, and we need to work some stuff out to make sure that that's the right move, because I'm a bit of a different beast at work to what I am at home, and not in a bad way, but I'm very decisive, and I'm like in a position where I have to be. My partner is a lot more risk adverse, and she likes to consider a lot, and I often don't have time and patience to wait for decisions. So it'd be interesting to see what she thinks of working with me if we were to ever end up in that position. I think I'm a reasonable person at work and at home, but I know that she struggles with thinking that if it did cause a rift at work and we brought that home, that it would be really hard to manage. So maybe we keep that separate, but I guess we're not going to know till we try. But we do balance each other out in the same way. And I'm in a position at work where I work directly with effectively CEO, and he's very different to me. So I'm the risk adverse, albeit with my partner, I'm probably more ambitious and more, not ambitious, I'm probably a little bit more, how do I put it politely? I'm just going to have a crack. I'm a little bit impulsive, but I feel like it's still not quite the right word. It's normally calculated. I'm not just wild, like going out doing wild shit. But she's very risk adverse. The person that I'm in business with is also probably like that on steroids in regards to go-getter, big balls, like I call him a moon hopper, like those things used to bounce down on, because he's just got massive balls on him, and makes decisions that, like, I don't know how you sleep at night with, but somehow through a commercial understanding of the higher level risk, and then trusting and backing the people that he's put in place, like myself, to deliver that stuff, it works out. And that's a level of relinquishing control and things like that. So it's all of that stuff that comes into it. Like, if I was working with my partner, could I, switch myself off from doing that task and trust that she's going to do it? When I know we've got these little personality differences. So it'd be really interesting.
It is super interesting. And, like, when I was more in working in bars and restaurants, and I'd date chicks that I worked with and things like this, and it was very easy to separate the personal and professional life, because typically I was someone like in a management role and they were floor staff type thing. And so there was already a hierarchy. So if I said something, they were like, oh, okay. Like, if I said this has to go to that table, they're not going to be like, well, fuck you take it.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, oh, well, this is my job. I'll take it to that table.
Yeah.
And then outside of work, I would be less professional.
Okay.
And we would chit-chat back and forth. Whereas Amanda had never dated anyone that she'd worked with before and had never had to separate that. And so there were definitely at the start, like we would clash hard.
Well, and your partners too. You don't have that hierarchical like separation.
Yeah.
Like you're actually both as responsible and accountable as each other.
Yeah.
So you have to You have to be dialogue.
Yeah, 100%. And to be fair, there's also both ways. There are things that I would say to her or she would say to me that we probably wouldn't say to an employee.
Yeah, I see.
You know, because there's just a little different level of understanding. We can be looser around each other. And, I'd be like, fuck!
Yeah.
In front of her, but I wouldn't do that with
You
any of
don't
my
have to
other
worry about
stuff.
PG flying at you for...
Yeah, exactly. Like HR's not going to be calling me because my partner and I had an argument.
Yeah, I understand.
Whereas it is if I have one with my junior staff.
Yeah.
And so learning that, but then I think, the first 6 months to a year were really difficult. There was a lot of conflict. When we did first class, there was a lot of us both wanting to be right. And me thinking I'm right because I come from a hospitality background and that's what we're in, and her thinking she's right because she comes from a corporate background and she's dealing with licenses and finance and contracts and shit. And so it's something that I didn't really understand. And so really we were both in the right, but we were coming at it from different angles and neither of us understood what the other one was saying. And then having, when we, found out we're having our little one, then there's maternity leave. She takes a major step back from both businesses. I'm running it full time, non-stop. The only conversations we really have at that point are like little consultations. I'm like, look, I'm thinking about buying the sterilizer that's 10 grand, things like this. Like, we've got to have that conversation because it's both of our money. But really, at the end of the day, I'm in it every day and I understand why it's important, how much efficiency it's going to increase, all of these different things. But we still have a conversation about it. Now that she's off maternity leave and coming back, what we've actually started doing is when we're at home, it's my love, babe, darling, all that. But when we're at work, we address each other by our names. And we just try and keep it really professional. We were sitting down the other day after work and she had, whinged to me about how I didn't listen to her when she said something rah. When we got home, I was like, how was your day? And she was like, oh, my boss was a fucking dick. Like,
cool.
He was telling me this shit and I told him this and he didn't believe me and everything like this. And I was like, oh, that must be super annoying. And I played it as if I had no idea who her boss was. And just let her vent. Let her get it out. And then it replayed on the other way. She was like, how was your day? And I was like, oh, it was really good. Like, this, and this happened. And just separate ourselves because we kind of both understand that we both need to let it out sometimes. And your partner at home is the only person that you can let it out to because the children... They're not talking yet,
right,
and they're not much. It's a very one-sided conversation.
And you got to be careful with them, man. You've got it all to come, but just sponge, man. Like
for sure.
6, it's like you can't get anything past, and then little fella just similar thing, like unbelievable, but like amazing, like absolutely.
It's super rewarding.
Don't wish it away. Like you kind of want them to do more when they're little, and they're just not really doing much. But then all of a sudden they're 6 and like you kind of just want to rewind 3 years or so. I wished it away a little bit with the first, and I'm really trying to savour it, make sure that balance is in check around time at home, valuable time at home. Like I'm guilty of that too. I come home stressed, partner in a completely different realm of understanding, like goes to do a school teaching job and everything's quite structured. There's not too, don't get me wrong, with all due respect, teachers do a great job. I've got so much respect for teachers, and she brings a lot home, but it's different level of stress to what I'm used to managing in like the commercial element of our business. So I also do everything from the sales front, like to securing work, through to working closely with our guys and the HR, with the progression paths, with reviews, with all that sort of stuff, as well as heavily involved with tendering, pricing projects. So it peaks and troughs, but when my workload's on, it's really far. The tap is like, it's bad news. So I understand the value in having a partner who holds it down.
Yeah.
It's super important. And I probably need to check myself at times, like you said earlier, reflecting and being able to own your own mistakes and work on a solution to be a better person for it is a really key part of the process.
Yeah.
All right, team, it's that time again, sponsor advertisement time. Look, I know ads can feel like one song on repeat, but today's sponsors are the Bar Society and First Class Cocktails. If you've listened this far through the podcast, you already know that they're two companies that I personally own and operate. So hey, if you're rolling your eyes, at least roll them over to our websites and get ready to take your cocktail experience to the next level. Imagine this, First Class Cocktails premium bottled drinks paired with the Bar Society's crystal clear ice. It's a match made in cocktail heaven. Whether you're hosting a dinner party, impressing guests at a wedding, or just treating yourself to a well-deserved drink, these two brands will bring you everything you need for a flawless pour. First Class Cocktails delivers unbeatable flavor, while the Bar Society adds the perfect touch of elegance with slow-melting, pristine ice. Why settle for ordinary when you can create extraordinary? Head to firstclasscocktails.com and thebarsociety.co.nz to order today. Together, we'll elevate every sip. First Class Cocktails and the Bar Society. The perfect pairing for your perfect pour.
There's times you get stuck in the weeds or in the fire and you don't appreciate the things you should, and that is one of them. I can't do what I do without that better half holding it down.
Yeah.
And I'm doing what I'm doing for us and our future and our legacy and the kids and all that, but really easy to lose track of the why, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of back to that whole neocortex, the parts of your brain, all that sooner. The why you do what you do, it is to create what I want for them, but what use is it to me if I lose them in the process?
Yeah.
So that's been really important, and then being able to identify that that's a problem of mine and work on it. Like you said, at 29, had this epitome that I was just a piece of shit. I just had to kind of work out what that looked like. I knew what I didn't want to be, but I'm also one who's had to learn from my mistakes through my whole life. Like, you could tell me 10 times not to do something, I'm going to go and do it, fuck it up real bad, and then be like, oh shit, that's why they told me not to do that. So I think for me, like, learn the hard way, but then learn really fucking well, and learn from it. Like, I'm going to make sure that never fucking happens again. And that's sort of what I've come to in every part of my life. It's like, learn from your mistakes, be better for them, bounce back stronger, be resilient, don't lose focus of the dream, and carry on, because what fun is it getting out of bed in the morning if you're not trying and failing at something?
Oh, fuck
give yourself another crack.
I
get bored. I don't know how I'll go in retirement. Maybe I'll physically be unable to be wired the same way or something, but for me, I'm like, I can't sit still, man. I don't know if it's undiagnosed ADHD or something, but I'm like, I need to be doing stuff, and that when I've still got a legacy to create and, make changes that I want to make to create the financial stability and the work-life balance and all the stuff I want for my family, it's the work I put in now that's going to create that. And I can sit on my hands and just go and get a job somewhere and, just work for the man. But it's not what I want. It's not going to get to me to where I want to be. Which I've got a lot of respect to you for seeing that too, because you sound like you've been through that whole train of thought, had a crack, experienced tough times immediately, which has made you heap stronger for it. And what's ever going to be worse than COVID shutting down your 4 biggest clients when you're in the middle of a startup and you don't know where your next meal's coming from? What is going to be worse than that?
Exactly.
You got through it, bro. Which is, like, kudos to you.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
You're the man.
Thank you, bro.
I'm stoked
really
to see, because I've been disconnected for so long. I'm stoked to see that you're, like, doing really well.
Oh, perfect, bro. Thank you. I do appreciate that.
And obviously, family connection's pretty tight, so I don't know, we won't go into too much depth about all your personal details, but I've probably at one point in time, maybe even babysat Connor to some extent.
Yeah, I think so.
Not like actually, but definitely been around your brothers and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
when
yeah.
you've been little, you know?
Yeah. I have very, very early memories of you hanging around when I'm sort of like, 6, 7,
Yeah.
that sort of age, going to the park, throwing the rugby ball around,
Yeah, man. I
getting
remember
up to
that.
mischief with the neighbours and...
Yeah, and I was a little bit, bit of trouble. I got out of that place for a reason around, I knew I didn't want to go to the park. Some people that I was, with all due respect to them, going down, and a lot of them have made the right changes as well, but for me to get away, but you'll know through my relationship with somebody you're quite close to that I was never opposed to getting into a bit of trouble as well.
Yeah.
I guess maybe somewhat of a bad influence on someone in your family at times, maybe, especially given the circumstances with, your one of your parents train career choice and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That became a little bit through the teenage years,
Yeah.
what's this guy doing? So, but I think I've turned out okay.
Yeah. And I'm inclined to think when I think about my parents and what they've witnessed of all of us,
Yeah, man.
all me and my siblings and all of our friends and things like this, there's been friends of mine that I've grown up with that have ended up on home D or in prison and things like this, and I still know that my parents are still close with their parents because we've known each other for so long, and
Oh man,
we've all done super dumb shit that we regret, but
100%.
I know that they have as well.
Yeah. Your old boy's a good fella, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry, Mum.
we've all heard stories about what they got up to when they were
where you
young.
got it from, bro. I've heard some horror stories about the big man. So, yeah. And obviously, it is quite a close connection because, my old man knows your old man pretty well.
Yeah.
There's all that sort of stuff as well, and then, it's interesting, So.
Yeah, and I really like, reconnecting and sort of seeing how life's gone, and
Massively, man.
it's good to have a chat with you and hear about all the things you're doing now and how life has changed compared to what it looked like when we were a lot younger.
100%.
And be proud of you as well, and stoked and grateful for all the times that we had when we were younger and everything like this.
It's crazy, yeah. Especially because there's actually so many points of connection between you doing the work you're doing, all that sort of stuff. It's you've kind of just been lingering there, So it's quite funny, and I guess we can tell the people that I had intended to come here, and I've been talking to Connor for a while and not telling him who I am. Obviously, I'm anonymous, and Connor didn't know that, but the vision was to surprise him. I didn't get to surprise him because he busted me downstairs before I was putting my over disguise on. So, that's what didn't quite play out the way I wanted to, because I was planning on stringing Connor along a little bit, but that's okay.
Well, it was a bit of a shock, and to be fair, I just thought you were downstairs waiting for someone to meet them for coffee, and I was going to say g'day while you were there.
Well, I panicked a bit because I was like, "You see me?" And he's he called me by my name, and then I was like, "Shit!" And then, but to be fair, I was wearing this and stuff, so probably you would have come down because you're a good bugger. We would have talked, and you would have probably put 2 and 2 together. If not, me turning up 2 minutes later with the same clothes on with this guy, might have given it away.
But it worked out all right, and this has been a great chat, bro. I've loved learning about sort of the journey and hidden blessings and what that means, and
just
so
sideline, So way to keep fun, stay positive, create something where, like I said, I can facilitate something really cool.
Yep.
I get to meet cool people, like you say, you're a UFC fan. I was at CKB on Wednesday. Met Aaron because I reached out via Instagram through doing a collab with Steph the Māori, who's a good friend of his. Reached out to Aaron. We've been meaning to link up for a while. In terms of everyone I've collaborated with, and if anyone's watching this, please don't take offence, but Aaron's the man. I get asked that often, who's your favourite person you met through HB? Aaron Toe is the man. And Aaron Toe, I love his story. We've got there's some similarities there around going to Aussie, doing a bit of dumb shit, all that cool stuff. he's come back, he's grounded. But like, I was out at his place on the day before yesterday, just hanging out with him and at his place out south with his family, his mum, his sister, and they're just having a few beers. And he's the most humble, down to earth dude, and he's going places. So keep an eye out for Aaron Toes.
That UFC contract's coming up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So you want to watch him. But spending that time at CKB opened the opportunity for me to meet Eugene as well. So I got talking to Eugene, and he, once I explained my kaupapa, he was keen to like look at what we can do. So spoiler alert, there might be something come there out of that, which once again you don't know where these connections go.
Yeah.
And then I've got a nephew who's MMA mad, absolute MMA mad, just started training and stuff. And
love it.
I managed to get the boys to help me out with a bit of merchandise and some stuff to, and this is absolutely lit this kid's life up. Like, so basically, I've got a glove signed by a lot of those UFC boys at CKB, and it's going straight to a place where that inspiration will change whether or not my nephew or this kid can take us to another level or not, because he's already fixated, but like the way that he's living up since me telling him about this, which I'm going to get it all boxed up and give to him and stuff, absolutely lit up. And I think that would be the difference between them maybe not fighting through the adversity,
or going the wrong path and the right path, and
then
the discipline.
You come home and you like have a tough day in the gym or whatever, and you look and you see this inspiration of these guys who have done what you want to do. I hope that's enough to inspire them, and for lack of anything else, it's a really cool thing to have. So that's been really cool, and I'd like to see where that whole relationship with CKB and those boys go, because Eugene's an awesome guy, and he's promoted that level of, like, you can't get in there to train if you don't know someone who can vouch for you. Those people, like, they're killers, but walking around there, they were all humble, they were nice. And Janae Harding, she filmed some stuff with Aaron and I. She's done her own thing, like top of the PFL women's, like she's absolutely epic at what she does. Novo's just cruising around, like it's a cool place to be, man. And I guess for me, in terms of like I shouldn't say work perk, like the HB side, but I've gotten to meet some really cool people as a result of the platform that I've created. And that's been really, just at a personal level, really cool for me to get to hang out with people that without any form of platform wouldn't have had the option to meet. But they're not meeting me because of I'm some influencer dickhead. They're meeting me because they actually support the kaupapa, and they don't know who's behind this. So I get to build a relationship with them, because normally I wouldn't have this on if I'm not on camera and we're doing a collaboration. For instance, you and I were going and hiding cash somewhere. I can't walk around with this on.
That's dude giveaway.
And I trust that you. It's more just the masses I don't want. So, but yeah, curious to see where it goes with CKB, and if I can develop any form of relationship with them. And obviously Eugene's got his charity he does as well around the coward punch stuff, where they lost one of their gym members to a coward punch in the city here. So I'd like to get behind that if possible. And I mean, the possibilities are endless, man. There's so many cool people in New Zealand that if we all kind of join together and try and spread awareness about each other, like same with what you're doing, who knows, somebody might see this and go, what's in that glass? Or, by the way, this is mint. The strawberries and cream one's mint. That is strawberries and cream, isn't it?
It's strawberries and cream.
And the ice is still not melted. How good's that?
We've been chatting for it's got to be over an hour now.
It has been, and I do it because I'm getting to, I guess by the time you do your thing with this, it's not going to matter, but getting to the D1NZ this afternoon, because my 2-year-old is monster truck obsessed.
Okay,
We've got Kiwi Thunder, the old Kiwi Thunder there, so going to shoot to D1NZ and take the little fella to watch some monster trucks this afternoon.
Nice, awesome. Well, we won't hold you up too much for that, bro.
Brother. No, I really appreciate it. You're the man.
Thank you very much.
Brother.
Appreciate the time.
No, you're a good man. You're glad to hear it's going so well, bro.
Bro. No, it's going good.
Make sure you give this fella a follow, team. I think you're going places, eh?
And
like the way you talk.
And follow Hidden Blessings.
Get
behind it. Share it with all your friends and whānau, and
you're a good man.
Make sure people that need a bit of blessing know about it.
100%. And reach out. I man all the socials myself, so DM on any of our platforms, and you'll get a hold of me directly. So if anyone wants to chat, just get in touch.
Perfect. Love it. Man. Easy. See you guys.